This is Nalubali Sports, and this is the interview with Uganda Sports Press Association presidential candidate Moses Alaysed Lubega. In this exclusive one-on-one, Moses takes us through his sports journey and his vision for USPA.
Moses Alaysed Lubega is a multimedia persona. I've made a dozen years in the practice, and I've walked through all the layers of what a practitioner has undertaken. My grassroots years were at NBS TV, but previously I'd done a lot of writing for magazines, especially up-and-coming magazines. On the grassroots, I've been a news gatherer, I've been an editor, I've been a live cast protector, a live cast broadcaster, but also a live cast commentator. And along those layers, I also expanded into consultancy, handling logistics and human resource, trying to grow up-and-coming media houses or little franchises, creating their menu, creating their systems, creating their power, and able to enhance their growth and career trajectory. Through that, I've expanded into corporate communications as well. And through corporate communications, I've been able to undertake and engage into partnerships, MOUs, seeking out for grants, seeking out for loans, for stakeholders within the sports circles, but also elements within sports as ambassadors, athletes, individual athletes, but also the kind of practitioners like me and you to seek out opportunities as ambassadors, as flag carriers of companies, and as networking bloggers for those companies. Those I've addressed in my career. But the central point or the central pull of my association into journalism has been what my bias has been. My bias has been reporting on sports as a liberation, as a voice for the voiceless, and those that need a voice and need them to be amplified through the small ecosystems where they are. Women, the youth, the marginalized, and all those inner circles. And I've enhanced that through my reporting coverage. I've worked as a rapporteur for especially on a continent and also internationally in those global meets, with several publications engineered towards trying to liberate those causes. I've also grown into being an entrepreneur, and I have a list of franchises under my belt, the Inspired Network, Biography Lounge, Animas Media, which is an affiliate of Animas International, where I've guaranteed a lot of media practitioners survival, but also employment. I've also worked for government agencies like the Ministry of Gender, where I've used such opportunities to source for media, but also do a lot of research in sports ideology, the undertaking, and its affiliations. Several publications that are now being used as a reference in many higher learning institutions, including this one, Victoria University, where I work as a digital media expert and previously MAST, but also secondary schools like Nyakasura. That enrollment in sport, for me, those 12 years have been worth it, have been worthwhile, and I've been able to expand my wings into those areas.
Part 2 of the interview, Moses talks about opportunities, empowerment, and fighting for members.
As an umbrella association, you expect that when your limb has been lost during the line of duty, you're supposed to look to the way of your association. When you have a legal coverage or when you have a litigation battle you're facing in court trying to pursue justice, you look to the way of your association or your umbrella. When you've suffered the indignity or the injustice of any natural distress, you have a son or daughter who needs to travel for medical tourism in India, you're supposed to look to association to at least undertake into initiatives that are supposed to give you some kind of cover for those opportunities. But oftentimes when our members look the side of our umbrella is either indifferent or they don't respond. Now, you're supposed to guarantee your members some access to survival, some access to the basics, some access to the go-to areas. At least in our to-do list, we must have those basics undertaken. Our members are not looking for a first-class degree, a fast car, to travel first class in a plane. No. Be able to guarantee them that these are the layers I can guarantee you. If you have a small business, I can sucker for you. I can seek for partners to try and invest in your business. If you need education, I can give you cover. If you need litigation cover, I can give you your back. And that's the kind of back I want to promise our members that I will be able to extend and advance to their SACCOs.
Part 3. Moses shares his ones and twos about the stalled USPA SACCO, cleaning the fraternity, and building a digital infrastructure.
It's unfortunate that we have not yet digested the processes that make that SACCO an actively engaging SACCO for us. But I'm looking at trying to cover that vacuum when I come into office. And this is how I intend to do it. One, we need to settle the issue of numbers, the SACCO as its numbers. But we could also pose this question to our members. How do we make that SACCO collective? Because the SACCOs have a sovereign understanding, they have a sovereign framework under which they operate. But we could negotiate and pitch to our members that perhaps it can serve the collective and be attached under the association umbrella. That's a legal discussion that we can open up with our members. However, our members need some facets of their livelihoods to be at the forefront of their needs. Education, intellectual growth. You employ, in your channel, you employ a number of media practitioners. Some could be just deriving from, just post-secondary school, others, post-graduation, all that. But they don't come at a heavy pay. Why? Because you haven't yet grasped or enhanced or deepened pockets for you to be able to live up to those expectations. One, because all of them are going to come, and 2 years down the road, they need that documentation because either UCC is going to knock on their door or the media council. Now, we need to negotiate for those scholarships and those opportunities. But for those that may not need them, because it's not a one-size-fits-all, there are those that might be accountants, because you cannot have a blanket statement and say, okay, all of them need sports and journalism or media council. But there could be, one of the employers could be an accountant, another could be an engineer, and they want to be germinated into those life disciplines. Now, we'll negotiate those scholarships for them to be able to earn the intellectual growth first and foremost. Secondly, to also have that document for themselves. That document gives them the sense of power, the confidence, and underlying. So those opportunities should be structured too. For one who is an entrepreneur like you now, who has set up this business, a franchise, it's unfortunate that in our jubilee, we don't even have the kind of digital infrastructure that you have an individual, despite our numbers. For one like you, we're going to create an infrastructure, an e-infrastructure, big one, that can host some of your properties. Or to those that are yet to grow into your properties, we can then use our platforms to be able to market and sell those platforms for theirs or any other business. For instance, if you're investing, in mechanized farming, let's meet institutions or agencies that are able to give us that cover, and then we'll negotiate how we are able to reconcile their value. Okay, this is what we negotiate. This person needs this and that. If your wife has a salon or yourself, we're able to say, okay, through our networks, you can guarantee that your employers or staff can be able to access this service from us, and this is how we can address it. We can reconcile your needs. All those in my manifesto are well articulated, because when you grow the sense of power, the sense of survival, the sense of belonging for your member, you've given them the kind of umbrella cover they sought after and they desire, which we haven't, because we've either been indifferent or we do not have the kind of means. Because I also want to address the kind of means, how our e-commerce involvement. We have nothing to sell or buy. If you have nothing to sell or buy, what's your contribution on the global market? We have none. The opportunities for e-magazines that we can create, the opportunities for podcasts, videos, documentaries, that our members have the kind of skill to give. A person like you, with all your experience, a high institution of learning should not hire a textbook lecturer when you're around, because you're able to give the kind of lens and mirror that a textbook lecturer does not have. Now, we'll walk to those institutions of learning and say, we are negotiating for our members to be able to offer this coverage for you, and this is what we'll return. It's the same way for the kind of members that may not have an enhanced survival and say, okay, if so-and-so is a very good video editor, why should some of our partners hire external teams to come and video edit, or a voiceover artist? Use our members to circulate their voices into those pockets to be able to earn an extra, and we have the muscle, because if it's you and me, we don't have the kind of muscle USPA has, because some doors are locked. But when you have the kind of voice, the history, the muscle we have, the bargaining power, we are able to unlock those doors for us. So those are the kind of inner circles that I need to invest in, and I've already made inroads into those. Just recently, I was speaking to IFJ, International Federation of Journalists, and they're willing to offer us legal coverage, unlimited legal coverage, as long as the situations permit the kinds of situations that they invest in, the ones that have undignified you, where you need justifiable legal coverage. At the same time, I've met two high institutions of learning, and the opportunities for learning and education are very open-ended. So those are the kinds of discussions that I've been having during the process, even prior to campaigning, because when I walked into, because my first leadership roles into the association was as a digital and photography chairman. Then in that year, we never spent anything on content and delivery. We spent less than we had in years, because I was able to engineer, a contact base that can provide that. As a chief whip that I am now, I was able to flash a torch into the mandate of our executive, and even including ours, and I was able to stop or give a pause to a systematic decline in terms of abuse, especially for our ladies, the young and upcoming, who were facing those kinds of alien remarks from especially senior journalists. So previously, is that I have not walked into these steps just to canvass for a vote, but my experiences working in the corporate world, working in high institutions of learning in academia, working in government agencies as a researcher, has given me a sense of opening an avenue to be able to have a more sense of care, but a more schooled and structured way of handling matters, which I think will be much needed when I'm entrusted with this seat.
In the last part, Moses speaks about capacity building and member welfare.
I took the same lead, because had I limited my scope to just being a news gatherer, perhaps I wouldn't have these options in life. But I'm unselfish to be in a position where I can then use my own advantages, my own experience, to try and to convey this message to them, that there are lots of opportunities. But those opportunities are more livened when you have the backing of the bargaining power that we possess. A member-driven association means that when you need cover, there is a back for you. When you need immediate survival, someone can guarantee the immediate insurance for you. There are situations where you're at home, you don't need food at home, but there's an accident, or your daughter has a malignment, disorder, and at that point in life, you just need an insurance cover. It's 2 a.m. in the morning, and you can't even have access. So address the needs of your members first and foremost, before you address the needs of the entire cycle of sport, because our nucleus is our member. Address their survival, their dignity, their need, because they're the ones that matter. For us, we're only the campus. We seek for their support, but we seek for their mandate, because without their mandate, I can't have the power to be able to exercise those options for them. I need their mandate, their guidance, and counsel to be able to drive that through. That's the member-driven umbrella I seek out to advance. Thank you.